Hello, everyone, and welcome. I'm Beastly EO, and in today's video, we're going to be talking about the latest episode of Daredevil. So, in this episode, a lot happens. Let's be honest. We see Wilson Fisk kind of getting himself ready for. We're not 100% sure what he's getting ready for, to be honest, but he's getting ready to do some nefarious things worse than he's ever done. So one of the big things here is Karen Page is arrested for her vigilantism, um, and she's going to be put on trial. So one of the first things we see is Fisk going to the jail to speak with Karen Page. However, what happens next is that he goes and chokes her because they have this little back and forth and everything else. However, um, it gets to a point where it was a problem, where he finally let her go. And I thought that was interesting, mostly due to the fact that Fisk in the past has been a little bit more emotional. And this time I feel like he has got his sights on exactly what he wants, and um, he's not going to let anybody kind of mess him up. And I feel like that's kind of the big thing right now. So he leaves. We then have Daredevil going around trying to figure out what he's going to do next. We also have Jessica Jones going to speak to Mr. Charles, which apparently he is the person that's kind of hired Luke Cage and Danny Rand, it sounds like, mostly due to the fact that he is he also is the only one that knows where Luke Cage is to tell Jessica what's going on. So she gets very mad at him and basically he states, well, they were just there to talk to you. They weren't meant to hurt you. And she's like, well, that's what my daughter was, and you know I have a problem with that. So this continues on for a little bit to the point where she wants to know where Luke Cage is, and he's apparently out of the country, overseas doing his work. So she basically states that she needs Fisk out of here, and he's like, I agree, and Fisk should be out of here. So that's kind of the big piece of that. She then tells Matt, aka Daredevil, what's going on, and tells him like, "Hey, like this is a big issue that Mr. Charles wants nothing to do with Fisk anymore, and that apparently he wants him out just as much as everyone else." And stating that it's going to be the biggest problem that they have, and that apparently he's the mayor to work with him. So we then have Karen Page being evaluated by the psychiatrist, who is a broken woman, who begins to start slapping Karen around like it's nothing, which I thought was kind of interesting in and of itself. Uh, we then have the first bit of the trial, which is Jessica Jones also stated she wants nothing else to do with this, mostly due to the fact that she wants to protect her daughter, Danielle, and the fact that her powers are kind of unpredictable at this time, and she doesn't want to risk getting in the way. Um, so so Matt as Daredevil meets with Karen in the prison because their friend, who is the lead detective, allows them to give him a couple of minutes. She basically he basically explains that they both kind of agree that she needs to stay in there and have a trial. And at first she's kind of against it, but at the same time, not I shouldn't say she's against it. But I think the idea is more of the fact of like they were all for that idea. What she was against was Matt coming back as a lawyer. And he was for it. Obviously, it was his idea. She was against it. So when the trial comes, we have the opening statements from both lawyers prior to talking about everything. And then we have the announcement of the second counsel, which was none other than Matt Murdock. So Matt Murdock comes out, everyone's shocked, surprised, and basically going through this trial. So obviously no information, I'm sorry, no, not no information. No decision was made during this trial, during this particular day of the trial. So the idea was that they were going to resume the next day. Now, before this court case had gone on, Matt let Bullseye go and basically stated, if you want to do one good thing left, I got one thing I want you to do. Otherwise, stay out of my life. and we'll part ways because I could care less what happens to you. We never know. Well, so we don't find out until later what that was because we don't hear it being said. So cut back to the court. When they're getting ready to leave, Karen obviously goes back to the prison, and Matt and his other lawyer, along with everyone else present, basically stating that the vigilante task force is still around, basically waiting to get Matt. So they get police escort down to the parking garage. And that's when Matt hears the crew of the vigilante task force coming at him. So he basically tells everyone to get out of there. It turns into a firefight. Matt gets shot in the thigh. I believe it was his thigh. And he has to throw his walking stick right through the window of the vehicle and causing a crash that I'm under the impression knocked them all out. Could have killed them, but I'm thinking knocked them out because he's not really a killer. So he then walks his way all the way to church, where he's bleeding in the church, basically begging to figure out what needs to be done next. While this goes on, we see none other than Jessica Jones come through the church, and before she says anything, that's how that part of the episode ends, and I think that's actually how the episode itself ends, giving us the idea that obviously Jessica Jones has come back for the finale to basically help out and be a hero again, I guess is what we would say. Um, so cut to the mayor of New York, who is apparently trying to be assassinated by somebody, and um, our friend Bullseye comes in to save the day and kills the would-be attacker. Lets the mayor know that the governor know that it's him that saved her, and then leaves while police go and figure out the situation. Then we have another storyline that was left alone for a little bit. It was between BB and the deputy mayor of communications. So he apparently let Buck know that BB was the rat. And so basically, Buck tells him to bring her to a specific location. And he tells BB that he's going to try to help her and get her to a safe house. So what happens next is he gets her to the location. She realizes it's not a safe house, starts freaking the heck out, wanting to escape. He grabs her and continues to walk until he realizes that, I don't know what made him realize it, to be honest with you. I think he's been thinking about it for a little bit. He decides that he's going to let her go. Gives her the cell phone, tells her to get out of there, and he's going to buy her as much time as he can. But just so you know, Buck's not going to stop. So when he gets up there, he tells Buck that BB's gone, and doesn't know where she is. And he gets the beating of a lifetime. I mean, the beating of a lifetime. This kid is getting bashed in like you wouldn't believe. To the point where the guys, I gotta give this kid credit. I did not like him. I still am not a huge fan of him. But this final moment for him, spoilers, is a moment that I was definitely impressed by, because he's just like, Buck, there's gonna be a time where it's gonna be the roles are reversed, where you're gonna be the one on the floor, and Fiscus number two is gonna have a gun pointed at your head. And are you gonna be happy about that? And there's a lot of hesitation in Buck this time, and I think it's because he truly did like this kid. Still shoots him in the head. Boom. Done. Dead. And honestly, that's it. That's how this whole episode ends. So the next episode is the final episode of the season. There's got to be a huge confrontation between the Vigilante Task Force and Fisk. Oh, like those two versus basically all of New York. That's got to be it, because Fisk's got to be arrested or at least removed from his title as mayor of New York. These are all things that kind of have to happen, and we're gonna have to wait and see what that actually looks like. So, let me know what you guys thought about this episode down in the comments below. Did you like it? Did you not? And why? And as always, if you like the content you see, please make sure to like and subscribe down below. Other than that, this is going to be Beastly Eel signing out. Have a wonderful night. Bye bye.